Hi, my name is Mike Keenan, and hopefully I have another interesting video for you today. In the past, I've made a few videos about Manly Peel Hall, and I'm just going to use this information again and then show you something else that I've found. So, firstly, let's do a bit of revision on Manly Peel Hall, who this gentleman was. And this information is just taken from Wikipedia, which is not a good academic source, but we'll use it today. Manly Peel Hall was a Canadian author, lecturer, astrologer, and mystic. Over his 70-year career, he gave thousands of lectures and published over 150 volumes, of which the best known is The Secret Teachings of All Ages. Basically, Manly Peel Hall was an occultist, a favourite person in the cabal, if you know, secret teachings are your thing. Anyway, and he also published a magazine. We'll call it that, a magazine. And I'll pop a picture of it on the screen now. And it's called Horizon, the magazine of useful, intelligent living. And this edition that I'll be reading from is from spring 1944. Just remember that number, 1944. Next on the screen, I'm just going to pop up the page number that I'll be reading from. So you can see that the title of the article is Asia in the Balance of the Scales. This is on page 13, the date again, 1944. So next we'll read. I'll just pop down the paragraph, a few sentences. The problem of revising the Bible shows how difficult it is to do this. For the last 100 years, we've been trying to get out an edition of the Bible that is reasonably correct, but nobody wants it. What's wanted is the good old King James Version, every jot and tittle of it, because most people are convinced that God dictated the Bible to King James in English. Now, the question one should be asking in your mind is, why would a renowned occultist and favourite of the cabal be interested in the King James Bible? That should be the first question. Next, we know that this edition, this article was published in an edition that was published in 1944. And he says, for the last 100 years, we've been trying to get out an edition of the Bible that is reasonably correct, but nobody wants it. So that takes us back to 1844. Okay, now we'll move forward. So I've been reading a book by Dr. William Grady called Perilous Times. And in one of the chapters, he makes an interesting note. Now I'm just going to bring this up on the screen, so just bear with me. And we'll read. In Dr. Grady's book, in a section titled American Bible Union Version, an abbreviation ABUV, let's read. While most Bible believers know of the pro-Vatican Westcott and Hort scam behind the modern-day tsunami of improved Protestant Bibles, few realize who fired the first shot. According to Dr. Larry Vance, there were 38 attempts to dethrone the KJV from 1653 to 1867. Though most were not worth the dynamite to blow them up. 2 would prove more troublesome than all the rest combined. 5 years after Andy Jackson's death, and 3 before Westcott and Hort began their future of work, a self-deluded Baptist mission board in America attempted a major hammer blow to Old Hickory's rock. The ill-fated groundwork for this abomination was laid by another group of misguided Nat strainers 8 years previous. If you can believe it, neighbour, in 1842, just 50 years after the Philadelphia doors opened by the liberating First Amendment to the Constitution, a new edition of the King James Version, carefully revised and amended by several biblical scholars, was published in Philadelphia. However, more shocking than its publication site was the title that later appeared in its binding, Baptist Bible. To make a long story short, a cabal of Baptist scholars led by David Bernard and A.C. Kendrick got the bright idea to produce an immersionist version, i.e. John the Immerser, basically the Baptist intelligentsia, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. And 2 Timothy 3 verse 7 is quoted, just like the transliteration of the Greek verb baptizo into the English baptize, preferring the stricter translation into immerse. And I'll just leave it there, and I'll move on to a few paragraphs down, and we'll read, well, now, the Holy Spirit was so so impressed with the Baptist Bible that he let it crash and burn on the runway. Had you ever heard of it before? The Baptist History Preservation Society has a copy of the 1844 version. And we'll just read this next sentence as well, which leads on. Unfortunately, it would jumpstart the second, far more influential Baptist effort to replace the KJV, and then it goes off into the history of what's happening. So I highly recommend Dr. Grady's book to you. But what's interesting is the date. So the date there is 1842. Melody Hall said basically 100 years earlier, which is 1844. So we're getting really close. So there's something really interesting going on there. Maybe someone out there would like to do some further research to find out what's happening. Also, and this is completely unplanned, in that paragraph I was reading in Horizon magazine, I'll just read the last few sentences again. For the last 100 years, we've been trying to get an edition of the Bible that's reasonably correct, but nobody wants it. What's wanted is the good old King James Version, every jot and tittle of it, because most people are convinced that God dictated the Bible to King James in English. Now let's just keep reading. Now, if you cannot get a correct translation of an existing work when the manuscripts are available, how are you going to work with the deeply seated prejudices of human beings, especially when they are so lacking in a common denominator? The only answer is, out of this last 50 years or so of research has come the solution. Okay, so we've got the solution. They're going to tell us how they're going to corrupt Christianity. How are they going to take people away from the good old King James Bible, which is God's perfect, preserved, and inspired word? How are they going to create all these new Bible versions and get people to accept them? So let's continue reading. So let's read that sentence. The only answer is, out of this last 50 years or so of research has come the solution, but we have not recognized it. No problem is presented to man without the solution being presented with it. That is a true saying. If we can recognize the solution when presented, the solution to this whole problem which has been given to us is the basic science which we now call psychology, and which has been evolved in the last 50 years. Psychology is the first systematic effort to analyze human thinking, philosophically generalized and laid the foundation upon which psychology has been developed, and psychology can be the basic science of human tolerance, because it is one department of knowledge capable of seeing how other human beings tick, what makes them work, where the mainspring is, and etc. Look, I'll leave the links to this article and you can read it all for yourself. But you can see the solid psychology that they've employed. And I'm sure you can leave in the comments other things that you yourself have noticed. So things like those people are King James only. Those words are archaic. I'm actually doing I'm at university at the moment and I'm doing public relations. And obviously part of the study is the study of propaganda. And obviously name calling is one of the strategies that propagandists use to mess with people's thinking. So archaic words, and you're a King James onlyist, you don't want to mess with those crazy people. Just two short tactics that are psychological tactics, and you can see how these guys operate. Anyway, I hope this video has been interesting for you, and I hope it leads you into your own further research. Anyway, that's all I'll say for today. God bless you all. Bye for now.